This is part 2 of a 2-part podcast.
Hey, this is T. Blankenship. Have you seen the new video of Wheaton Labs? It is permaculture awesomeness with all new and improved things like more rocket mass heaters, easy bake coffin, Willy Wonka, rocket cooktop 2.0, and the truly passive greenhouse. To see more, go to permies.com/tour. Again, that is permies.com/tour.
I started by asking you a question that's delicious, but at the same time, like, challenging. And this is where my mind goes a lot, is to think about, lifespans and stuff, and about health and things like that, and how it can be really, really easy. But I think step one, it's hard to live in the city unless you have a job.
Yeah.
Because the cost,
or a trust fund,
the cost of housing can be profound, and it happens every month. And so I think a lot of people, like a solid 70% of their income goes to housing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I want to paint a picture to break that cycle. And so I've been advocating for years now. In fact, I think 10, 15 years ago, I wrote an article where the hero of the article is named Gert. And basically Gert has a humble home and a large garden. And I'm sure you've met these people. You've met Gerts. People who don't have a job at all, but they got a humble home and a large garden. And it seems like they don't need a job. They're happy and living large, and their life is so robust, and they don't have a job. They don't have a trust fund. They don't have, and it's like, how are you existing? How are you why do the rest of us have to go get a job and you don't? And it's like, they've got their ways, and it's like, I think this is where we study. This is where we observe. And there are ways. Oh, and so Andreas puts up a picture of the Gert card. We've got a Kickstarter going right now. I don't know if you knew this, for these for this new deck of cards. And one of the cards, I guess it's the 7 of Spades, is the Gert card. And so, but you, I'm sure, I'll bet you have met hundreds of Gerts. True?
Yeah, totally.
And so I keep trying to tell people about this, and of course they cannot believe it. It's to them it's fiction for me, but I'm glad you're here to validate what I'm saying.
Totally.
How about this? I've got this. I know that when we were at this event, I know that I presented on the SKIP program, which is a free program, and I made a book that's basically the free stuff, and I don't know why people buy the book, but they do. But the idea is, like the beginning of it, the start of the whole idea of, and the SKIP book, most of the people that are doing SKIP do it for a whole different reason than what we originally created it for. But we created it because I kept meeting people that were elderly, and they said, can you name somebody worthy for me to will my land to will my whole homestead to? Dozens of people like that. Dozens. Have you met these people? I'm sure you have.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
And
things are the way they are, Paul.
They're desperate to find somebody. They're desperate. And the key is they just want somebody worthy. And that's where the book came from. Like, well, what does that mean, worthy? And so the whole SKIP program was developed to help, have a way of measuring that somebody is worthy. One could argue that I'm dumb and stupid and this doesn't work, and it's like, maybe so. We'll find out. I think we're really close to getting the very first people to inherit land. But I just thought I would ask you. We've never had this conversation, but then I think I have personally talked to 4 dozen people where they're like, can you name one person that's worthy? And now in Permies, we've got a few people that have completed so much of the SKIP program that I would easily point to them. And there's the proof that these people need. And it's like, so I think it's all about to leap forward. But all right. Sorry, Stephen. I really want to direct the conversation to you. I mean, I have a lot of this is your crazy fruit? What is it?
Yes. So it's called Mame Zapote. And it's a family of Sapotaceae family. Wait till you see the seed, Paul. You won't even believe it. Oh, it's such an amazing.
So it's got an orange pulp.
Mm-hmm. And
kind of a reddish orange pulp.
And it kind of tastes like pumpkin pie, like sweet potato pumpkin pie. It's amazing. It's so delicious. We make smoothies with coconut milk out of it. The most unique thing about the fruit, Paul, is that from flower to harvest is 2 years. It stays on the tree for 2 years before you harvest it.
Wait. So you're saying that you'll go up to a tree and you'll see a fruit.
You'll see first a flower. Yeah.
Okay.
So you see a flower, and if you take a picture of it and you watch it, you're not going to pick that fruit for 2 years.
Okay. All right. What is I think this for me, for the stuff I'm now advocating for gardening, one of the most important criteria is to have a giant harvest window. So when the fruit is ready to be harvested, how big is the harvest window? Like that fruit is ready to be harvested. And so I'm going to come back in 2 months and grab that.
No, not 2 months. I mean, the interesting about this fruit, it's hard to know by the size. This one was already cut off a little bit. It was a little bit bigger. It's a pretty big fruit. The only way you know that it's ripe, not by the size. You have to come up and scratch it. So it's a very expensive fruit, and you really have to keep your trees nice and pruned. Because I had a huge one in Punta Mona, and we used to have to go up there with a stick with a little knife on it and nick it to see, because if it's still green when you nick it, it's not ready. But if you nick it and it's at all oranges, then you pick it, and it takes 5 days to ripen. So actually, you probably have a couple month, 6 week window where you could pick it. Mm-hmm.
So that's
delicious.
I think because that's another thing too, is I saw a lot of gardeners being very, very stressed out. They had gardens, but they were being very stressed out because the gardens demanded a certain variety of discipline from them. They needed to have the discipline to harvest on just the right day. And but they were trying to do worky jobs and travel and other. They're trying to. They've got this rich life, and when they have a moment to do their gardening, all of the fruit is on the ground and rotting. Damn it! And so they're beating themselves up. And so I want to advocate for crops. And I live in Montana, which is some cold country, and I want to advocate for crops. I love the crops that can be harvested. You can just leave them in the garden through the winter, and you can go and harvest them December, January, February. This is a good example. The thing I don't like about the sunchokes is there's about 3 months that you can't harvest sunchokes. That's in the summer when everything else is on. But
I love that.
But it's so a 9-month harvest window is still an amazing harvest window. And so another one is walking onions that can be harvested 365 days a year. And it's but these large harvest windows make it so it's very forgiving and gentle and soul building, rather than all that hurt that you feel when it's I didn't harvest it at the right moment. So to hear about how that might have a 2-month window. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
2 months is pretty good.
And you know what, Paul? Like, I want to take a moment just to celebrate like this time in the earth right now. There are some exciting things going down. There's this guy. My biggest kind of fruit hero is this guy, Joe Hewitt. He's from the big island of Hawaii. He has a Facebook group called Grow All the Fruits. And he is like I said earlier, like I think probably 15 years ago, I might have had one of the largest collections of useful plants. But now there's people way wealthier than me and with way more time and way more focus. I'm doing like 5 different things at once. They're just hunting rare foods. And what's happening right now is that there's these really nerdy Facebook groups, like deep rabbit holes going into like Myrtaceae groups and Artocarpus groups and Guttiferaceae groups. I mean, like so nerdy. And what's happening is I feel like there was a time where there was like collectors, and this is what's so exciting is there was like, you know, mostly like older white men that they could have collected cars or baseball cards or whatever they were collecting, but they happened to have collected fruit. And about 10 or 15 years ago, they were like really protective. Like I traveled all the way to Vietnam to get that seed or that cutting. You know, I'm not just going to give it to you. And now I think kind of led a little bit by this guy, Joe Hewitt, and like there's this, you know, group of super nerds like me that how can we spread these things far and wide so everybody's growing them? How can we collect these things and improve people's lives? So it's a very, very, very exciting time. And a lot of these foods are being domesticated for the first time ever. Like these are foods that are coming out of Sri Lanka or the forests of Borneo or the forests of Cameroon. Like there's a fruit called safu that's just coming on the scene. It's called African butterfruit. Or another one I'll tell you about called dabai. Dabai, these are like oily, rich, perennial like vegetables, basically, that are just coming on the scene. There's one from Borneo called dabai. Dabai, they call it the Brunei olive. And you just soak it in salt, warm water. And it's like this olivey richness, delicious. And there's a whole culture around dabais. There's like many different varieties. So we're at the cutting edge of time. And where I come in is how can we take this cutting edge of time with genetics and useful plants and merge it into the very communities where we live? You know, so I think that's kind of my little piece in all of this is like we need to collect all these crazy foods, learn how to grow them, and learn how to literally merge them into our communities. I just led this ceremony the other night, and there was this woman in the group that I'm watching my friend's kids ride these scooters around the pool, and my like Jewish nervous sense is like watching them so nervous. I'm like so nervous watching them. I can't even look. So, what was I saying? I was just
You're saying that you feel the sensation, but you're fighting the urge to say, "Hey, are you getting it? What are you crazy?"
Exciting times. We're living in exciting times, and I mean, anyone who's watching, and I think what I like would leave you with is, radically question everything, and that like we have. Oh, I know what I was saying. I was leading a ceremony the other day, and there was this woman, elderly woman, like in her 70s. She was the youngest of a group of women that started an agricultural neighborhood outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. 170 lots. She sold 140 of them already. Like this is happening, Paul. Like, you know, no. And the other thing I always say is we could change the world if they'd only give us permits. So it's interesting. Like a lot of the visions are out there. Yeah. I think
I got to say a thing for you. And it's along the lines of that. And it's like, so like recently I was presenting on rocket mass heater stuff, and somebody said something about like, yeah, but isn't that, you know, doesn't the government say no? Like wood, anything that burns wood? And I said, you know, years ago, pot was illegal, and nobody in Montana smoked pot until the government said it was okay. And the reason why the government then said it was okay is because the pot before was poison. No one touch it. But now it's okay. And so they're looking out for us. So what's important here is always obey the government, just like everybody did with pot. It doesn't matter that rocket mass heaters solve global problems or save you thousands of dollars per year, makes your life easy and delightful. Those things don't matter. What matters most is that you are strictly obedient to God. And you've met those people. Universally, every politician is lovely, delightful, and wise. And so definitely make sure you're obedient to the politicians. That's what's the most important thing. It does turn out to be that throughout Missoula County, rocket mass heaters are perfectly legal under certain conditions. And I kind of like the idea that rocket mass heaters are so delightful that someday they will be not only thoroughly legalized, but also rewarded. Not today, but someday perhaps. Now, for what you're saying is it's like if only we could get permitted. And it's like there's some people in the world of permaculture who say never talk to the regulators, only talk to the lawmakers. And I kind of feel like part of that is true. Yes, indeed. And I think what's even more true is when there's 60% of the population breaking the law because the benefits are so profound and the downsides are thoroughly exaggerated, then I think that's a way to affect change as well. All right, so you're saying something about regulation, and yeah, it's true. You and I apparently are some kind of threat, and to the profits of somebody somewhere. People with machine guns showed up at your place to help drive that point home. I'm suffering right now. Our community, our online community, is being tortured by people whose profits are being threatened, and so we are just gonna do the best of it. Make the best of it. Do the best we can. At the same time, I think that there are pockets of the world where you can go and do things, even though it might be contrary to regulation in other places. So it's like some places have more regulations than others. Some places have HOAs. Some places have I don't know if you remember, like when we were kids, there was a television show and it featured Mrs. Kravitz. Do you remember Mrs. Kravitz in a television?
What show was it?
It was Bewitched. She would peek through the curtains to look at the shenanigans going on across the street and then, complain. And it's kind of like, so basically these people could have a very easy, normal, comfortable life if not for Mrs. Kravitz. But, because of Mrs. Kravitz, they got more attention than they wanted to what they were doing. So I guess the thing that I'm thinking is that it's like, yes. And in fact, I know I made some podcasts more than 10 years ago because I watched a movie called Farmageddon. And oh, you're familiar with it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so basically they visited with 5 different families, and they had filed with the USDA to say, we want to do raw dairy totally legally.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then, so now they're in a database. And each of these 5 families suddenly had an army of people with machine guns pointed at their children as they grabbed all of the animals and put them into an acid bath to completely dissolve the animals. And they claimed that the animals had some sort of illness, and they didn't. In fact, the animals had been tested just days before to show that they did not have the illness. But that isn't what so the movie explores, like, well, how did this happen? Why did these people come and do this awful thing? And it's like, oh, it turns out that several of the people that were being employed through the government to do what's good and right and decent forgot to get signatures. And it turns out that there was a bunch of powerful influence from Big Pharma. And so raw dairy has certain benefits to people, but if you appreciate these benefits, you might not spend as much money with Big Pharma, and you might tell somebody else about the benefits, and that just isn't okay. That's a threat to their profits. And so so this is what that. So I made a whole podcast about it because there's a movie and blah 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 blah. Stephen, I'm sorry, I've gone off onto a tangent.
Oh, that's okay.
But you foolishly said something that triggered me, and that was
I mean it.
The regulations.
With permitting, and Andres just was put in there's a chat there. What are the regulations from Ben and permitting like in Costa Rica? They're really annoying, actually. They're super annoying. They're super bureaucratic, and they make you have to spend a lot of money on people that are good at that. And I mean, in some ways it's really good because they're super protective of water and like the environmental things, but most of it's really annoying and it's just part of the thing. I mean, I think it's easier than it is in the U.S., although people are pulling it off, like this woman in Ohio, but yeah, it's I can't say I'm up here like all relaxed talking to you, Paul, like, oh yeah, we did all these things. All of it was really hard. It was super hard. None of this was easy to do. If you're thinking about doing it, I'd recommend joining someone that's already done it. It's hard, and if you are, somewhat, what's interesting right now, Paul, is that like people are waking up faster than ever. Like there's probably like 100 ayahuasca ceremonies happening this weekend, and there's people that are going to Burning Man, and there's people that are like going to, taking your courses and getting your decks and taking our courses. So people are just waking up, and some of those people are the children of like, billionaire developers. So it's like, how can we bring these concepts to the people that already really know how to, because a lot of the developers these days, they're making deals with Target. They're making deals with Walmart. That's how they're putting in big shopping centers. Their friends are working in the, lobbying the government. It's like, it's a different game, but a lot of the people that are playing that game are waking up, so I think we're in an exciting time. I think, there's that book, Fields and Dreams, Bill Mollison's autobiography, and it has this one page, and he didn't say exactly this, but I can't remember exactly what he said, but this is what I've taken from it, is practical solutions can't be suppressed, only for a little while, it's like that whack-a-mole game, like, we keep like trying to do things and whacking us down, and eventually there are going to be too many of us, and they won't be able to whack fast enough because and I think we're also getting smarter. It's like we were, like our movement in many ways was off in the woods in the 60s taking acid, and now it's like people are grounded and our people are, and I'm not saying you weren't grounded in the 60s if you're taking acid, but I just feel like this whole movement is just getting a lot more organized. And people are like, you can't, every single farm worker, everyone has a video camera on their phone, so you can't hide this shit anymore. You can't hide the things they're doing anymore, and it's like, and you can't hide your own children from it. So it's got to stop, It's like if people know what they're doing and spraying glyphosate and their children they're on their 15th IVF treatment, it's like, hey, am I a part of the reason this is happening? Like, this is a fact. So, I don't know. I just went on my own little tangent.
Hi, this is Mark. There are a lot of reasons to get angry these days, but I prefer to focus on the positive things that we each can do to make this world a better place. The book, Building a Better World in Your Backyard, Instead of Being Angry at Bad Guys, is a great resource for just that. Instead of throwing my arms up in frustration at governments or big corporations, there's a list of ideas that we each can tackle to affect change. Information about this book and other resources can be found at permies.com.
I think that all the video helps. I think a lot of these things help, but a lot of it is that, and I think that, like, for example, people living in the city, they're bathing all day, every day in a massive buffet of toxins. So there's probably 50 different toxins just in the air, And then there's a long list of toxins that come in their water or in their beverages. And then a long list of toxins coming in their foods. So they've just got all these toxic vectors. And so then it's kind of like, okay, how do you video that? How do you video something that's kind of invisible? I mean, if you look at a city, it's always got a giant brown cloud over it. And it's like, but if you're in the neighborhood and you're trying to video, you don't see the brown cloud. You're in the brown cloud. You don't see it. And so it's kind of like, and then when it rains, the brown cloud disappears. So where did it go? And it's kind of like, but it's like so many people that I talk to, they got an urban lot, and it's like, here's the stuff I'm struggling with. And so many people in the world of permaculture, so you said something at the beginning about how you wanted to find land that was degraded, but it was naturally degraded. It was like somebody came in and cut down all the trees. They made it into a desert.
Yeah. As
opposed to people in most urban communities where their soil or dirt has had so much toxicity introduced to it over 100 years that they can't undo. And so it's like, what do they do? And so they're trying to like get food crops to come out of that. And it's like, and then they're thinking about eating it. And it's kind of like, it doesn't matter how organic you do it, it's still full of poison because of the long, long history of that particular plot and the things that were done there. And it's kind of like, how do you mitigate that? And it's like, oh boy, first you'd have to find out what are all the toxins that are there and find different ways to mitigate each of those. But so many permaculture people seem to be keen on the idea of like, I'm going to go to some place that's so loaded with toxins, I'm going to get food to grow. And it's kind of like, I would rather have some place that's been relatively untouched and then get food to grow there. And now you've got foods that will cure the ailments that people are suffering from in the city. And they got those ailments because of all the toxins used in the foods that they're eating. And so, I don't know, it's a completely different angle. Like how do you get people to live to be 120 instead of 80? And I think that a big part of it is if you can just eliminate the toxins is going to be an enormous part of it.
This whole movement, this word biohacking. Everybody's talking about biohacking. You know that word?
I've heard it. I don't know what it means.
So it's like a whole trend, movement. Like people are talking about biohacking, like hacking biology. That we're doing that so we could like live longer. It's this concept of biohacking. And I'm just like, hacking biology. Like we just need to go in nature. We just need to be in biology rather than hack it. Like we really want to live longer. Like it seems like such a funny trend. It's such a funny word. It's like, yeah, we are just so disconnected. It's unbelievable,
I kind of feel like whatever it is that they're doing, a lot of it could be food-based.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've for the last couple of years, I've been living strongly with food as medicine, and it has been powerfully transforming for me to improve my health. And so I've been absolutely shocked at how well it's working. I hadn't thought of calling it biohacking, but it
don't call it that. I don't like that word.
It's kind of like there's lots of studies showing that these foods make you much healthier, and there's certain foods that you might think are healthy, and it's like maybe not so much. So as you're exploring all these different fruits and vegetables that you can grow in a tropical area, part of what I was thinking, Liz, is like, I wonder what the story is nutritionally for people on that. When you talked about the bananas, I want to point out, I don't think I've eaten a banana in 10 years or more.
Good for you. Yeah.
Partly because it's kind of like, and then people turn up their nose at apples in favor of bananas. And I'm kind of thinking like, I think apples are like the perfect food for people.
If you're in Montana or you're in the northern place. But if you're here, you shouldn't be eating apples.
Fair point.
Although, want to hear something cool? You know that so in the tropics, every 100 meters you go up in elevation, It's like going 1 degree away from the equator. So we grow apples in Costa Rica. Amazing. I wonder if she bought them today at the market. I bet she did. I would like to show you our apples. Hey, Ash, did you guys buy any of those little Anna apples today at the market, did you? The little apples, Costa Rican apples? Yeah. Can you bring me one? Haha, she did. Because people like apples, but, and they still import the Chilean ones, and they still import, Washington apples. Yet, look at our apples. So up in the very highland tropics, you can grow a lot of the temperate fruits. They just come a little bit different. And I feel like it's a whole reality that hasn't been studied so much. And I think there's a lot of room for investigation, for trial. Oh, thanks. Oh, I can show them that too. Yeah, I bought these little cacao too for 1,000 colones. This is my friend Ashley. Look at the question that just came up. What schooling system do you have at your places? How do they compare and align with online learning? Oh. Ashley's an amazing Waldorf teacher, and she's actually running a big conference in January for Waldorf teachers. This is Paul.
Hi, Paul.
And a whole slew of people that are out there probably watching.
It's not Paul Zink, though, right?
No.
I'm from far away.
He's in Montana. This guy is epic, man. He's just like a backwoods Montana permaculture guy. So check out our little apples. They're little tiny apples. Thanks.
You're welcome.
It looks like a beautiful apple.
It's a tiny one. I mean, it's a small little apple. Great. I don't know what you would think, but you're probably an apple snob. But
I am an apple snob. We've been having conversations the last few months, but it's now time for us to start growing lemons and figs here.
They're warm.
It isn't something that normally grows outdoors in Montana, but we're going to grow lemons outdoors and we're going to grow figs outdoors. And we're exploring how we're going to go about doing that. What is that?
That one?
Is it a mango?
Cacao.
No, what is that?
Chocolate.
Oh.
It's cacao. Here, I'll open it up for you. Cracking on her tile floor. That's what chocolate cacao looks like inside.
Now, don't you have to
oh my God, the seeds they're already sprouted. You ferment them.
Yeah.
You take the seeds out. I mean, you could suck on them. They're sweet and delicious. But you take these out and you ferment them. You put them in a bowl and you cover them, or in a bucket. When you have a lot of them, you cover them in a bucket and you put banana leaves, if you have banana leaves, over them, and you leave them for anywhere from 3 to 6 days. And then you wash it off and you put it on the sun to dry, and then you roast it, peel it, mill it, or blend it. And that's where you get chocolate from.
Stephen, we're running out of time. I got a note from Andreas to say that we got to wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so. So I know that the biggest thing I wanted to hear from you about that I learned when we were at that conference, and I remember in my presentation I said, "Oh no, I just used words that will offend Stephen's dad," and it's like I can't even remember what I said. But the thing that's important to me is that it's rare to me to find a community that can last more than 10 years, but more importantly, a majority of the people that live there have been there for more than 2 years. So most of the communities that I have been able to visit that have existed for more than 10 years, most of the people that are there, in fact, most of those communities I visited, nobody's been there longer than 2 years. And so but you have a very different recipe from the other things that I've observed. And so I would, in the minutes we have left, I wish for you to convey to my peeps, what is the recipe for community that you guys are using that's so successful?
I will say the first community that we started, Ecovia, still has a lot of turnover. And there's a lot of circumstances that I won't get into now, but there's many people that have been there a long time. The latest one that I did, Alegria, is there's not much turnover. People now, it's 4 years or 5 years, and people, and it's really, I think the key is the people that you get and the expectations that you set. And then also the empowerment, it's people are kind of used to just kind of being led. But what's so interesting that what's going on right now is that people are really co-leading. Oh, I sent this to Andres. This is the Google Maps. So sometimes people put together really good presentations. If you can zoom in a little bit there, Andres. So that first one, what's right there in the center, that was the first community. And you could see, if you go down a little bit, put your cursor down, that house all the way on the left, that greenhouse is mine. But if you go down a little bit, you can see the garden. Yeah, that's my house. And then go down a little bit, you can see the communal garden. This is Ecovia. And zoom all the way out, Andres, which is so cool. This is all food forest in between all these trees. Look what it used to look like everywhere. You know, if you zoom out even more, look all around us what it looks like. And then if you go up there to the left, you can see all those roads. This is actually a really old picture. They're not up low. That's Alegria, that whole area. And if you zoom in, you can see the garden that we showed you earlier. Right to the left. Yeah, right there. You can see the Fibonacci and the dome and the yoga deck. And yeah, there's a lot more houses there now. There's probably like 50 or 60 houses there. And yeah, I mean, I think people really like to feel empowered. I think people like to, you know, feel like they're actually co-creating what's happening. And I think that's kind of the key to making this work, is finding ways to open the doors so that people can co-create. I think that, you know, and that I think, you know, people following somebody that's doing this are going to be bored eventually. Like, you know, and I think me kind of stepping out of Alegria, I hope there's people here that are watching that are actually in Alegria, is that, you know, people, you know, me stepping out, like, left room for a lot of people to step up. One of my permaculture students from Ecoversity, he was an Ecoversity permaculture student. It was while I was starting Alegria one day in class, I was just talking about Alegria. He ended up like coming down on a graduation that we did and bought a lot. And now he's, not only is he running the garden of the communal garden, but he has a permaculture design company with another one of my students, a Colombian woman, another student of mine. And together they're literally, you know, planting fruit trees in everyone's gardens in the community. So I think feeling empowered, I think keeping fun and keeping it light, like, I think it's really important to have fun. You know, I think people sometimes forget. How's that?
I think that's, what is the decision-making model for your community where you're getting people, where people are staying longer?
So I wish I had a more exciting answer for you, but it's really just, it's kind of like a do-ocracy, you know? It's like people that do things make decisions, you know? And it's like, we have like a typical HOA, you know? It's an HOA that the decisions are made through an HOA. We have all these different committees. We have like the gardening committee, and we have like the conscious parenting group, and we have the common spaces committee, and basically, you know, the people that show up to the meetings and care are the ones that make the decisions. And then when there's, you know, I think the other thing that's really key is that the founders, me and my crew, my dad and our crew, we really thought about a lot of things. So we made most of the decisions before people bought in. Of course, there's room to switch things and change things, but there's so much put into place when people showed up that, you know, every year at the HOA, there's like things that get voted on, like, oh, we want to build a sports court, or we want to turn the soccer field into a pickleball court, or we want to turn, you know, so like there's little things that happen, but for the most part, most of the decisions were already made. I think the key is I wouldn't ever recommend coming together with 50 people and trying to create a community and make decisions together.
Yeah, that's what I usually see failing. But I like where you're at, where it's kind of like basically it's an HOA. And it's like with a whole different value set of the HOAs that we fear and loathe. Mm-hmm. And so, but then you also start off, and it's like, okay, this is community number 3. And we've learned a lot of lessons from
exactly
1 and 2. So here's where we're starting with number 3. And if you don't like it, don't go there.
Exactly.
And then it turns out that a lot of people are like, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, we're on number 4 now, and it's called Eterna. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Eterna.earth. And, if you want to show those pictures now, Andres, there's some great pictures of Eterna, where one thing that we're doing at Eterna that's so fun, and this is another real key to keeping people around, is that I told you I have a background. I used to throw a big festival in Costa Rica called Envision. It grew to 10,000 people. But what we're doing in this land is we have like an event space, and we're throwing small events in a common area, and this is our beach. This is basically, there's only like a couple accesses to this beach, and we're one of them. This is the beach. We have 100 acres on this beach. And then, go to the next one. This is our event space. Look at the ocean back there. This is like where we're throwing our events. There's a fire pit right there. Then this one, this is a little stage that we built around, here, go to the next one. Yeah, around a giant Guanacaste tree. This is the stage around it where we have just like music. And look, this is an incredible Colombian guitar player just ripping. Probably the best female guitar player I've ever seen. Just ripping there with the sunset over the ocean. And again, we're just keeping the fun. We're keeping it fun, and we're throwing events, and that's part of the very community where we are. And like I said, it's called Eterna.earth is the website. And we're throwing some great events. Are you familiar with Rosemary Gladstar, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah,
so I met her once.
Gladstar. Yeah, she's amazing. She's like the grandmother of modern herbalism. She had the first herb store in America. She's like, for me, she's like one of my biggest heroes in the world. So she's coming, and we organize this whole event around her. It's on January 30th. We have Ayla Nario, who's one of my favorite singers, Leah Song of Rising Appalachia, and a bunch of musicians that are coming because they want to be a part of her visit. And so that's happening on January 30th. So this whole season right now, we're just every week and then the other thing is that we're really into artistry. So we're doing these artist residencies. We're inviting some of our favorite musicians to just come and live there and create this residency for artists. And that's another thing. My partner's Costa Rican, and we're so important to us to have Costa Ricans there and artists, because I think that's what's so important. You're asking how people are affording this. It's like we're really working hard to figure out. It's a great question. And we're really questioning this patron model where how can we really support artists like in the old days, like how we used to patron. So there's a few different steps in this, Ingrid. I mean, the reality is the lots aren't absorbently expensive anyway, they're more expensive here than in the past. In the last communities, like they started at $50,000, the lots, and here they're more expensive just because it's on the ocean and the property was a lot more expensive. But Ingrid, something that we did that was so interesting was in the second community that I started, Taco Tal, is we came together. I started it, but then I brought in all these friends. Everybody put in $12,500. We raised $300,000. We bought the property for $200,000, and then we spent $100,000 on like a farm truck, the first water system, the first communal buildings, and then everybody gives like $5 or $750 a month, $750 a year in dues. And it's happening a lot slower than these other communities where I raised a couple $1 million and built the whole thing out. But I think there's a lot of models, Ingrid. I think there's a lot of ways to do this, and I think the key is having real skills. And that just brings me to like the stuff that you guys are doing with Permies, what we're doing with Ecoversity and the course that we're teaching. It's like when you have real skills, every community wants you there. This is the course that we're doing. It's called the Living Systems Design, and we're bringing together just the most interesting teachers, to really, ignite. And what I love so much about permaculture is it doesn't tell you what to do. It kind of just tells you how to think. And it gives you kind of an overlay of all the different, you're not going to be a water expert or a pond making expert or a decision making expert. Yeah, there you can see some of the teachers. That's Rosemary Gladstar right down in the orange. These are just some of the teachers that are teaching now in the course. And it's really just, there are people from all over the world, indigenous leaders to elders to, people that are great at using computer programs to map. Like and I think if you have real skills, all these communities want you there. Yeah. Just coming up in February, this next course.
I think we're about out of time, but boy, we got to do this again sometime soon.
Yes, Paul. Yeah. I love it. We got to get you involved in this course for sure. I know we have a big summit coming up in January. I'm going to have Maddie and Andres talk and line it up so you're part of it.
Oh, fun. I think that.
I love your views. I love your questions. I love it. You're amazing. I remember loving you when I met you in Texas, and I'm so happy to be with you again here today.
Yeah, that Texas event was great. I regret that we haven't gotten in touch. Like, we should have gotten in touch like immediately after that Texas event. And,
well, here we are.
Yeah, I really want to, there's so much more to talk about. But, thank you, Stephen, for joining us. And, I'm going to say, if you like this sort of thing, come on out to the forums at Permies.com, where we talk about community, homesteading, and permaculture all the time.
Put Paul's brain on your plot. Do you have a hunk of land but don't know where to start? Do you have a world-changing permaculture idea and you need some feedback? Do you feel like the guy in overalls may inexplicably hold the keys to all your wildest permaculture and homesteading dreams? Well, you're probably wrong. But if you want to give it a go anyway, you can hire Paul for a consultation. He will be all yours for a whole entire hour. Schedule your Paulversation today at Permies.com/consult. Permies.com/consult.